All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are tackling the big question at the heart of the whole AI revolution. We've got these three giants, GPT, Claude, and Gemini. They all claim they're the best, the most advanced. But what actually happens when you push past the marketing hype and put them through a real-deal stress test?
So, who really wins? This is the question, isn't it? Not about who has the best PR team, but who performs when the rubber meets the road. So, we're going to dig into a source that did something pretty rare. It forced them to compete in a series of identical, really demanding challenges to find a real answer. The setup was pretty simple, really. Give all three AIs the exact same tough tasks. In this case, building a bunch of different video games completely from scratch. Same prompts, same rules, no funny business. And the results? Wow. They revealed this fascinating mix of spectacular fails, total surprises, and some really unexpected strengths that kind of challenge everything we think we know about how these tools work. Okay, so let's get into this AI gauntlet. We're going to look at some of the most revealing moments from these game-building tests. These tasks were specifically designed to push the AIs right to their breaking point, just to see where the cracks start to show. This isn't just a simple test, it's a digital cage match. So right out of the gate, test number one, and a super interesting pattern just pops up immediately. Gemini and GPT, they were lightning fast. They spit out these games that looked fantastic, really slick user interfaces. But here's the kicker. They were basically unplayable, way too hard. Claude, on the other hand, it finished last, but it made a game that was actually fun. This is our first big clue that being fast and pretty doesn't mean a thing if the product doesn't work. And that really gets to the heart of it, right? This is the core lesson from that first test. We're all kind of conditioned to believe that faster is always better. But this showdown, it suggests that with AI, sometimes taking a little more time leads to a way, way better result. It's that classic quality over speed thing.
All right, let's move on to test number two, a classic candy matching game. This time, the challenge was all about creativity. And again, Gemini finished first. But whoops, its first version had a bug. The code was broken. That little delay created an opening, and what happened next was really telling.
This creativity breakdown is just fascinating. So Gemini, yeah, it fixed its bug, but the design was kind of boring, just plain. GPT made a really polished game with these nice painted balls. But then look at Claude. It used emojis, actual little chocolates and lollipops and candies for the game pieces. It just completely thought outside the box, and it won the round. Not on speed, but on pure, delightful creativity.
Now for test three, building an infinite runner game. And this is where things just got messy. The complexity got dialed up, and honestly, all three of them just stumbled right out of the gate. Every single one of them produced errors on the very first try.
And this sequence with GPT shows you just how messy it got. I mean, it just couldn't handle it. The first try, the game crashes. So you try again. Second attempt, crashes again. By the third time, it was obvious. GPT had just hit a brick wall. It revealed a pretty big weakness when it comes to these more complex tasks. So after watching them struggle and then sometimes succeed, we can start to zoom out and see the bigger picture here. You start to see these really clear patterns, almost like personalities emerging for each of these AIs. It's not just about who wins one little race. And this leads to this really crucial idea they uncovered, which they call the first response fallacy. So in another test, building a 3D space game, Claude initially just spit out this giant wall of scary-looking error messages. You'd look at it and think, well, that's a total failure. But it wasn't. The game was actually running perfectly fine behind those errors, and it was much better than the others. This teaches us a huge lesson. Judging an AI by how fast it responds can be completely misleading. You have to wait and see the final working results. This personality matrix just wraps it all up perfectly. You can see it clear as day. Gemini consistently wins on speed, but its reliability is questionable. GPT gives you that polished professional result, but it can choke when things get too complex. And then you have Claude. Often slower, for sure, but when it comes to pure creativity and the final quality of the product, it's a rock star. Each one has its own distinct character.
Okay, let's get to the bottom line. We've put them through the gauntlet, we've spotted the patterns. It's time to finally answer that big question we started with.
So after all of this, the crashes, the creative wins, the surprising comebacks, who actually gets to stand on the winner's podium? Is it the sprinter, the artist, or the reliable one?
And here it is, the real answer. There isn't one. I know, that feels like a cop-out, but it's not. In fact, trying to declare one single best AI completely misses the entire point of what these tests showed us. The truth is way more nuanced and, frankly, way more useful. And this chart explains exactly why. Their strengths don't really overlap. If you need a task done super fast, like for a quick first draft, Gemini is your tool. If you need a polished, professional-looking standard output, GPT is a fantastic choice. But if you are tackling a really complex, creative project, and the only thing that matters is the quality of the final product, Claude is the one that delivers something better, more consistently.
So what do we do with all this? Well, this is the most important part. Understanding these differences lets us move from just kind of playing with AI to actually using it strategically. I love this analogy from the source material because it's just perfect. Sticking to only one AI, no matter what you're doing, it's like trying to use a hammer for every single job. Sure, it's great for nails, but what happens when you run into a screw? You need the right tool. So here you go. This is your practical guide, your AI toolbox, basically. Need a quick first draft or a simple chunk of code? Give it to Gemini. Need to generate a professional, standard report that looks clean? GPT is your go-to. But if you're starting a big, complex, innovative project where creativity and quality are everything, that's a job for Claude. And this is the thought I really want to leave you with. Let's all just stop asking which AI is king and start asking a much smarter question. By shifting your focus from the tool itself to the task at hand, that's how you unlock the real power here. The best AI is the one that gets your job done right.